My name is Maddie Hayes, and I'm a research technician at the Duke Marine Robotics and Remote Sensing Lab, and I'm here to talk about drones, deep learning, and seabirds. This project was a collaboration between the Mars Lab and the Wildlife Conservation Society down in Argentina. We wanted to see if we could utilize high-resolution drone imagery and deep learning to count colonial seabirds, specifically the black-browed albatross and southern rockhopper penguin, at large mixed colonies. While seabird population dynamics have proven to be successful indicators of ecological change, they often breed in large numbers at inaccessible locations, closely aggregated together, presenting challenges for traditional ground-based surveys. The motivation for this work was to develop an automated method that could increase capabilities for seabird monitoring without sacrificing quality or accuracy. So the study site was down in the Jason Islands, which are in the Northwest Falkland Islands. The Falkland Islands are home to the world's largest breeding population of black-browed albatrosses and the world's second largest breeding population of southern rockhopper penguins. All drone imagery was collected with a DJI Phantom. Imagery at sites 1 and 2 was collected in 2018, while the other 10 sites were flown in 2019. It's also important to note that southern rockhopper penguins are patchily distributed within large black-browed albatross colonies. So the sites on this map that we collected drone imagery of are based on black-browed albatross colony boundaries. We ended up with a total mapped area of 1 square kilometer and around 10,000 individual drone images, which were processed into 12 separate orthomosaics. The 2018 imagery had a resolution of 5 centimeters per pixel, and the 2019 imagery had resolutions ranging from 0.5 to 1.5 centimeters per pixel. So separate models were generated for albatross and penguin detections, but the workflow was the same. The 12 orthomosaics were split into smaller tiles, and about 1/3 were manually labeled for both species. The manually labeled tiles were then split into training, validation, and testing data. We used the Keras implementation of the one-stage object detection architecture, RetinaNet, which is composed of a ResNet 50 feature pyramid network backbone, plus 2 branches for classification and bounding box regression. The albatross model was trained with 12,000 samples and took 3 hours, while the penguin model used around 25,000 samples and took 4 hours to train. The models were then deployed on all the tiles, and these detections were converted to georeference shapefiles. The shapefiles were then exported to ArcGIS to be overlaid on the orthomosaics. The albatross model had an accuracy of 96%, and the penguin model had an accuracy of 87%. For both models, 90% of the automated counts were within 5% of the manual counts. The first model detected 268,764 individual black-browed albatrosses, which is a representative count of all the colony areas on both islands. The second model detected 68,779 individual southern rockhopper penguins. We were not able to detect penguins in the lowest 5 centimeter per pixel imagery from 2018, so this number is not a representative count of all the colony areas. We also looked at the time savings between the two methods. Within this same chunk of 0.5 square kilometer imagery, both models cut down detection time to less than 10% of manual analyst time. These are a few examples from the albatross model. The 2 errors at the bottom are in the lower 5 centimeter per pixel imagery, where the model mainly detected other seabirds or rocks as albatross. And these are a few outputs from the penguin model. The imagery on the right side was the lowest resolution that we were able to detect penguins at, and it's hard for the human eye to even pick up on them, so this is going to be a limitation for the computer as well. And the main error in this model was that it missed quite a few penguins throughout all of the imagery. And this is an example of a successful detection from both models and shows how closely aggregated these seabirds are. Because southern rockhopper penguins nest within black-browed albatross colonies, it can be difficult to get accurate ground counts. The overhead aerial view of these seabirds from the drone imagery can significantly decrease the errors introduced from ground-level surveys. This is a great example of that. Using the high-resolution imagery makes it very clear where the penguins are within the larger albatross colonies. This project differs from previous work in that we ran detections on the orthomosaics instead of the individual images. This is unique and particularly enabling when investigating large colonies such as those found on the Falkland Islands. It provides opportunities to link focal bird locations with broad habitat features, allowing us to explore patterns and processes of individual organisms and how they interact with the larger ecosystem. With this type of information, we can use geospatial analysis techniques to determine how many breeding pairs of penguins there are based on distance between individuals. We can look at breeding versus non-breeding individuals and quantify occupied nests versus empty nests. So while our study indicates that this automated drone method is a feasible option for seabird population monitoring at large mixed colonies, there are, of course, a few other factors to consider. Integration of this automated method will require duplicate counts using the new drone method and the traditional ground-based method to determine the true ratio of the magnitude of traditional counts to drone counts. Once this ratio is determined, we can start to monitor long-term population variability. Our results also provided useful considerations for future drone flight planning. Both models cannot detect birds below a certain resolution threshold, and while flying lower to the ground may introduce disturbance for more mobile species, we did not see any significant disturbance in even the highest resolution imagery, indicating that we should ideally collect this imagery at around 1 centimeter per pixel to increase accuracy without significantly increasing error. But overall, the results of this study indicate that drone imagery coupled with deep learning can significantly increase the capabilities of population monitoring at the Falkland Islands and beyond. That's all I have for now. Thank you for listening, and feel free to reach out if you have any questions or just want to chat more about this.